I can't believe it's 2016 and we still have to talk about this.
No, we don't have to keep talking about this. Feminists keep having to talk about this. The year doesn't matter. And they keep bitching about fucking made up problems.
Look, feminism isn't about hating men. It simply isn't. By saying that it is, you're misrepresenting feminism and not allowing for rational discourse to take place.
Really? Feminists don't hate men. That's why there's mugs like male tears, sure, you know, people that I bathe in male tears and so on. That's why, and then the whole most don't hate feminists. If most feminists don't hate men, or don't hate men, then why do we keep seeing these goddamn damage control videos to say that feminists don't hate men?
This is a logical fallacy called a straw man. When you say that feminists hate men, you make yourself sound reasonable because you don't hate men. But here's the thing, neither do I, and neither do most feminists. But you see how I said most? That must be proof that some feminists hate men, right? Well, yeah, sure, probably, somewhere. You see, feminism isn't an organization. We don't have meetings, we don't have leaders, we don't have rules for membership. If someone wants to call themselves a feminist while doing things that I would 100% consider not feminist, they're well within their rights to do so. But feminism as a whole doesn't hate men. By its very definition, seeking equality and justice on the basis of gender, sexuality, and race, feminism isn't about hating men. But maybe you
mean like Gamergate, right? Gamergate? How, you know, anyone can sit there and just put the, you know, the Gamergate thing right there, but yet obviously Gamergate was causing a bunch of sexist men to go off and hate women or hate on women? Or what about the MRA who claim the exact same thing, that they're about equal rights? I mean, I'm pretty sure the definition there is the same thing. But no. They hate women, obviously, because feminists said so. Or what about people who call themselves humanists? Well, they don't have to call themselves humanists because that's what feminism is, apparently. But yet you keep sitting there, oh, well, you're a feminist because you believe in this. So feminists run around telling people what they are and what they aren't, what they should and shouldn't believe, what they shouldn't do. But yet, they do the exact same thing the other side does and then bitch and sit there and labeling them all as a group. Sitting there, you know, labeling all men as a group. Because obviously, if a man is born as a man, then he's obviously contributing to fucking, the patriarchy and misogyny. It's fucking retarded bullshit. All of it. Just stop being feminism just needs to really go away.
Confused when we talk about things that relate to being a man. There are a few concepts that we regularly critique and argue against, and it's possible that some of those could be misconstrued as being against men. So today I want to break down a few of those concepts. First up is toxic masculinity, which is a phrase that refers to all of the negative aspects of our culture's definition of masculinity. So basically, when you're raised as a man in our society, you're raised with certain ideas about what it means to be a man, and some of those are very harmful. Toxic masculinity asserts that for men to be considered men, they have to be violent, aggressive, dominant, angry, and never cry or show emotions.
Being violent is already illegal. So no, society doesn't expect men to be violent. Now, but the aggressive part, are you talking about, you know, where men have to go out there and, you know, actually hit on women because women aren't required to hit on men? Or what, I mean, and then I want to figure out how that's a bad thing, seeing as how it's usually men in the police or military. Or even firefighters, you know, the ones who are willing to put their fucking lives on the line. The ones who usually will have the physical ability to do so. And then how does toxic masculinity somehow mean that men could be a potential rapist? Women rape men too. It's not just one thing. Yes, men will do it more. I'm going to have to admit that. But that's not part of toxic masculinity. No one expects a man to go out there and fucking rape a woman. We don't sit there and take tallies. Hey man, how many bitches you raped this week? I only got 2. What the fuck is your problem? We don't sit there and do that shit. I don't know where the fuck you get this. Labeling men as potential rapists is a feminist thing. That's why feminists want to put it in college where it's mandatory to teach men not to rape. That's something they came up with. Nobody else. Feminist. Not society.
Toxic masculinity assumes all men to be potential rapists by saying that a woman who is dressed a certain way was asking for it, as if men can't resist the temptation to rape someone when they see a little bit of skin. It also assumes all men to be straight. You've probably heard someone say that they became a man after they first had sex with a woman.
And the only other time I've ever actually heard, you know, going and becoming a man was from The Waterboy, a comedy. I can't honestly think of any other time I've heard that in real life. Yeah, I never even heard that in real life. You know, oh, I became a man after I went off and slept with someone. No, I've only heard that in one movie, and that is it.
And not wanting to have sex with women means people will probably say you're not really a man.
Sit there and call each other not being a man because they refuse to sleep with some chick. It's, well, she's not my type. Dude, she's fucking ugly. Whatever. Men have taste, like women have taste.
This is bad for everyone. It's bad for women and other gender minorities who are often the victims of toxic masculinity-fueled violence, and it's bad for rape survivors who are blamed for what happened to them. And
when are rape survivors blamed for what happened to them? Shit. They might in a court, yes, they're gonna question it because everyone is innocent until proven guilty. You can't just sit there and arrest someone and lock them up because a woman said so. I mean, I thought you wanted equality. In other words, if a man says a woman raped her or raped him, does she automatically get locked up because, hey, it does happen? Or is it equal where she has to be proven guilty for it? And you know what? I almost forgot. I don't know how, but the whole thing about men not being able to show emotions and cry, I wonder why.
because it limits who they are allowed to be. We know that there are men who don't want to be violent and aggressive, but lash out because it's the manly thing to do. We know that men should be able to cry and show their emotions. We know that men can be gay or bisexual or pansexual. By identifying toxic masculinity as the problem that it is, we hope to open up even more avenues for men to be masculine in non-toxic ways. Second,
rules that say that men can't show emotions. When do men lash out because it's what they're expected to do? No, men might lash out because that's the way we are. We're more aggressive. We have testosterone, which makes us more aggressive.
Is the patriarchy, the big scary word that's always associated with feminism. Patriarchy, in its simplest form, is a social system where men hold the most power. In our society, that's obvious in a bunch of different ways. A majority of elected officials being men.
Elected officials get into office. Oh, right, I fucking forgot. Women can't vote. I'm sorry. We should really look into that. We should actually change it and allow women to vote. You're right. I apologize. I fucking apologize. I mean, Jesus Christ, because women can't vote.
All of the presidents ever being men, and most major CEOs being men.
Are more willing to take risks. As in, men are more willing to, even risk losing their job on something that might gain money. Because if you fuck up in a company, I'm sure that, has CEOs and you're up there, they're not gonna, oh, well, you cost us, this many thousands of dollars. Don't worry, you took the chance, it's A-okay. No, you better have that shit planned out. They're not gonna just, give you a slap on the wrist and a pat on the back, for fucking participating. This isn't elementary school.
Etc., etc. When feminists talk about dismantling the patriarchy or destroying the patriarchy, we aren't talking about destroying men, we're talking about achieving equality through justice. Since the patriarchy is a system where men are considered superior, we should all want to destroy the patriarchy. Fighting the patriarchy isn't fighting men. It's fighting inequality and wanting to live in a world where we're on an equal playing field to men. And maybe that sounds scary because you have to give up some power. Because if you're at the top of an unequal system, you do have more power than those below you. But just imagine what it's like for women and other gender minorities to live in this world every day without that power. Third,
this mythical situation existed. As a man, why the fuck would I really want to get rid of it? Oh, that's right, because a patriarchy is harmful to men, according to feminists. So in other words, men are smart enough to come up with a system that benefits us, but for some reason we're also so fucking stupid we put a system in place that actually harms us. The amount of doublethink here, man. The amount of fucking doublethink here. Men are so smart we can do this, but yet we're so fucking dumb we can't figure this simple shit out.
is gender roles, which you've pretty clearly seen laid out if you've ever been to a toy store. Blue is for boys, pink is for girls. Guns, tanks, and cars are for boys. Dolls, flowers, and makeup are for girls. Gender roles, at their core, are completely arbitrary. Pink used to be considered a masculine color, and blue used to be considered a feminine color, but that switched sometime around the 30s or 40s. Other things we associate with gender, like makeup, dresses, or short hair, are equally made up. And this goes beyond material possession. Gender roles tell us how to act and behave. In that way, they're very closely linked with toxic masculinity.
What color was considered masculine and immasculine does not fucking matter. It really doesn't. If some guy wants to wear a pink shirt, fine, I'm not going to think any less of him for it. But yes, men do tend to like tanks, toys, or just tanks and guns and shit like that. That's the way we are. Women do prefer dolls and so on. Now, maybe, yeah, someone's going to sit there and blame, the way their parents raised them. Well, fine. Fine. I want to see a fucking video recording of a 4-year-old being taken to a toy store and being automatically, a girl, mind you, being automatically taken to the boy section and a boy being automatically taken to the girl section. And see if they find what they like. Keep in mind they're 4, so you can't exactly sit there and say that they've had years of brainwashing. Let's just see what they go for. And then switch them, and then put the boy in the boy aisle and the boy's aisle and see how that goes. Little boys are not gonna automatically run towards My Little Pony stuff. It's just not gonna happen. I grew up, well, the way I grew up, I was allowed to play with whatever the hell. I remember when Aliens was a big deal. I had a little toy of Lieutenant Ripley. My dad didn't sit there and call me a fag for liking, the female character. He just sat there like, okay, here's your toy. But I still liked, the main male characters too, like Hicks and Apon. Well, not so much Apon, but still. I was really into the aliens themselves. I had a shitload of those, man. I remember the scorpion aliens, the gorilla alien, I believe, the bull alien and all that. I still remember that. Why? Because I liked that. Most women don't exactly like the way those things looked. And truthfully, I can't blame them. I mean, shit. There's nothing appealing about that thing. But as a little boy, I was like, oh, that is the coolest fucking thing I've ever seen. Women just don't like that. And I had a little sister who would break her own Barbies because she didn't like them. So I know that not all women like Barbies. But at the same time, she wasn't sitting there with my alien toys playing with that.
Men are supposed to be dominant and women are supposed to be submissive. Men are supposed to work a real job while women are supposed to stay home and take care of the kids. This all has the incredibly detrimental effect of putting people into little boxes, and we know that men and women are far more diverse than that. And on top of all of that, gender roles completely erase the existence of gender non-conforming people, because there are people who feel in between or outside binary genders, or people who don't feel any attachment to gender at all. And talking about gender as a binary pretends that they don't exist. So when we say that we want to destroy gender roles, it doesn't mean we want to stop you from being a man. You're free to be whatever you want. We just want you to be able to decide what being a man means for you, rather than strictly adhering to arbitrary and oppressive gender roles.
Decide what's manly for me and what's not manly for me. But feminists are gonna run over and tell me what is and isn't manly. Care to explain any of this?
Fourth is sexism, which you've definitely heard of. Sexism is the institutionalized discrimination against a gender or genders. Because it has to be institutionalized, that is, built into our societal systems, you can only be sexist against women or other gender minorities. Yeah, there are people who will argue that you can be sexist against men, but that's an unnecessarily defensive argument over semantics. Does sexism require institutional backing? I would say yes, and because of that, only gender minorities, including women, face sexism, while men can still face discrimination. If you say no, then you think everyone can face sexism.
Sexist? Sitting there, oh, no, only you can be sexist because you're a man. She can't be sexist because she's a woman? In what way is that shit not fucking sexist? Oh, I'm sorry, because society. No. Okay? No. That shit needs to stop. Can be fucking sexist. Anybody can be racist. Your gender, your race does not keep you from being that. Feminists get off spouting this bullshit, but it goes to show how fucking stupid they are. You keep saying we want to be in an equal society. You don't refer to yourself as a man. From what I can tell, you are a man. If not, then please tell me, where do you get off telling men what is and isn't manly?
Like I said, arguing about this isn't very useful and only serves to deny that there's institutionalized gender discrimination. What I mean by that is how sexism is baked into the very foundation of everything that we do. It's how most characters in any show or movie are men. It's how women are catcalled and harassed on the streets daily. And it's how women are paid less than men for doing the same work.
If a company can get away with paying women less for doing the same work, how in the fuck do I have a job?
When we say that we hate sexism, we mean that we hate how discrimination so negatively affects us. This doesn't mean that we hate men or that all men are sexist. It just means that we hate the discriminatory actions against us. Fifth is male privilege, which goes hand in hand with sexism. If sexism is the idea that gender minorities are at a disadvantage, male privilege is the idea that men are at an advantage. Now, that's not to say that all men have it better than everyone else. You also need to account for class, race, ability, and all of that. But in general, if women are losing out, men are gaining something from that. Obviously, if you're a man, that's not your fault. You didn't create the system that we're in. But you do benefit from male privilege. When you're loud and demanding, you're more likely to be called strong than bossy. You can walk down the street without having to worry about catcallers. You can dress how you want or sleep with who you want, and you won't be called a slut. Having male privilege doesn't make you a bad person, and we don't hate you for it, but you do.
Slut walks. I've never actually seen one, but you know, where women walk around sometimes topless to show that they're fucking in charge of their own sexuality. That also ties in with being called a slut, which the term man whore does exist. And no woman would ever consider it a good thing that a man slept around. Alright, maybe there's a few men out there who would, but women won't. Just like men wouldn't assume a woman who sleeps around is a good thing. That's for both genders. Equality.
You need to be able to recognize it. And lastly, there's misogyny, the hatred of women. This is very similar to sexism in that it's used to talk about things that are harmful to women, but I feel like misogyny has more anger behind it. But I think what really trips people up is that they don't want to be branded a misogynist. Because you can definitely do or say misogynistic things without necessarily being a misogynist. We're all constantly growing and evolving, and we're all raised with misogynistic ideas in our head. So yeah, sometimes we're going to say or think misogynistic things. But when someone says, hey, what you just said is misogynistic, they're not saying, you're a terrible person who hates women. They're just saying that what you said contributes to the hatred of women, so maybe you should reconsider it. Hating misogyny means standing up to things that degrade or demean women, and oftentimes men feel like it's their right to be able to treat women like that.
Fuck do men think it's the right to treat women like that? Even guys in prison, fucking for murder, will attack a man who's in prison for doing anything to a woman or a child. So where the fuck do you get this? Oh, right, I'm sorry. Fucking, the feminists told you, so therefore it must be true. Because feminists never lie, right? Because, I mean, hell, it's impossible for a fucking feminist to lie, because they're like goddamn Vulcans. Just pure logic, never lie.
So I think that by fighting misogyny, sometimes men feel like we're telling them what they can and cannot.
Saying us. You're not a woman. You're just not a woman. Alright? I don't know what the hell. Why please explain why you keep saying us. You're not. You're a man. A white one at that. With some of the bluest fucking eyes I've ever seen. Granted, they could be context, which I don't goddamn doubt. Judging by you honestly got more fucking makeup on than Johnny Depp and the fucking Pirates of the Caribbean. Shit.
But obviously, you're free to say misogynistic things if you want. But we're free to criticize those things. And it really doesn't hurt to think about the consequences that your words and actions have towards women. By hating misogyny, we're literally hating the hatred of women. I feel like that's something we can all get behind. So these are the 6 things that feminists hate that aren't men. Toxic masculinity, the patriarchy, gender roles, sexism, male privilege, and misogyny. These are all clearly related to men, but they're not men. In fact, dismantling a lot of these things would help men too. I hope that's clear. Feminists don't hate men. Saying that we do avoids addressing our real arguments. And this video is a part of a series I'm doing for Everyday Feminism, a website dedicated to helping you stand up to and break down everyday oppression. So I'll put a link down below so you can check out my previous videos in the series. And that's all for today.
Video, I hope you enjoyed. Fucking stupid.